Great morning, y'all. It's been a while since I made a video like this. I guess we call it Cam Talks. I think I did a handful, maybe a few months ago. But yeah, it just kind of felt right for me to start it again, at least for today. I don't know when the next one will be, but at least for today. I feel like the past handful of months have just been so incredible. And I think the one thing that has really come up for me is understanding that all the limitations that we have, all the changes in behavior that we oftentimes know need to be made, there's oftentimes this emotional charge behind it that's kind of stopping us from making the change. So I think about myself for the far majority of my life, and just most people at this moment, there's something that they want to change, to improve their life, to improve their human experience, but they're not really allowing themselves to do it, right? And so the obvious one, I think, is always like health and fitness. Everyone really wants to be healthier, live healthier. And even though it's definitely overcomplicated, there's also some basic simplicities that um, I think we all kind of know is in our best interest when it comes to what to eat, what not to eat, um, how to work out, and stuff like that. But for some reason, I mean, as we know, the start of the new year, people will be all about the new routine for a handful of days and then kind of just fall off. And that's completely okay. It's, part of the human experience, and there's something to be learned in all that. And some people maybe aren't meant to become, an incredible exerciser. And they're not meant to be in great shape or eat healthy in this lifetime. But there are a lot of people that are, and they keep on running up against this wall that oftentimes happens in the same amount of time, whether that's a few days in, a few weeks in, a few months in, they hit a wall and they kind of reverse the progress they've ever made. And there's a strong reason for that. I've talked about it before, in which the subconscious mind is pretty much the ultimate note taker and bullshitter, in which trying a brand new lifestyle and behavior that is far different from what the subconscious mind has collected about ourselves over the past handful of decades we've been alive, we're going to run up against some type of friction, more than likely, where it's going to feel like every ounce of our body just kind of wants to go back to what it knows. And I see that over and over again. But I've really, thankfully, been able to kind of self-study on how to change that. And it's wild, but it really all comes down to, at least in my opinion, the emotional charge we have around changing. So we all kind of know, like, if we wanted to live healthy, again, there are certain foods we buy and eat. There are certain exercises we do and places we go, and oftentimes things we avoid. But it's more than just that. That sounds really simple, which it is. But there's something within us that is stopping us from being that way. And what I've realized is the far majority of human behavior, whether we know it or not, isn't coming from a place of love, where we could see being healthy as a very objective, very simple thing that it is, and live that way immediately. There is the far majority of our human behavior being driven from fear and past coping mechanisms that keep on repeating themselves, that we've adopted as part of our personality. So an example I want to give is, like, I'm someone who the far majority of my life was incredibly clean. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say I'd be diagnosed with OCD, but not that far from it. Whether it was my space, my environment, or my body. I take like 3 showers a day, oftentimes, for a very long time, which is odd, especially if I lived in like a beach town like in Bali or other places I live. Like, it was just so odd in comparison to most. I would hate camping simply because I couldn't take a shower or whatever it was. Um, but I realized like that is just the lifestyle I grew up in, right? That's something my parents did to some extent. And it's just what I thought was normal, what I thought was acceptable, to avoid ever being called stinky or dirty or nasty, whatever it was. I just adopted these habits that, although I feel like did serve me to some extent, weren't necessarily coming from the right place, right? It's always good to have a clean apartment, a clean body, but if you feel as if you need to clean or you need to take that sock off the ground and throw it in the hamper immediately, or else in our minds it kind of feels like the world's going to end, which is exactly what OCD is. It's like the, of course, obsessive compulsive disorder, but it's to control and curate the environment in a way where you feel you're most safe, or at least others will feel they're most safe around you to finally be accepted, right? And what I realized is like I had part of that within me, and my girlfriend challenged me, because she's noticed this behavior in me. She's like, you know what? I challenge you to not shower. This was Sunday night. She said not shower until Friday evening. She's like, can you go 4 or 5 days without showering? I'm like, of course I can. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe. And then I had this kind of whirlwind of emotions in which by 24 hours in that Monday, that Tuesday, I was kind of freaking out. I felt dirty. I'm like, am I bringing dirty feet to the bed? Like, what's going on? And just she was incredible. Just giving the affirmation, like, you're clean, you're fine, you don't smell bad. And I mean, like, objectively, when you eat the right foods and you're not eating a shit ton of toxins, there's nothing to sweat out. So you're going to smell relatively good. People only need artificial deodorant if they're also eating artificial stuff. It's just how it works. But that's nuanced, and a lot of people don't understand that. But so I objectively don't smell that bad. Now, day 4 or 5, just naturally humans are going to have some type of stink or something to them. But for this example, we were just like, let's go to the other side of the extreme because we've been so extreme one end. Let's see where this goes. And yeah, day 1 or 2, I was kind of freaking out. I felt as if I was throwing a little tantrum as a kid. It's like, oh, I need to shower, I need this. Not necessarily a panic attack, but again, not that far from that. And I felt like I was throwing a tantrum around her. I remember, and we just kept going upon a normal weekend, normal workouts that were hot and sweaty, sauna sessions where I'm dripping in sweat as if I just came out of the shower, but it's my own stank, you know. I said I had like swamp ass to the maximum. I called it swass. My swass was wild when it really wasn't, but just in my head, I thought it was, disgusting. Then I realized, like, when you have someone that you love, really the only person's opinion that you really care about is just like, you're fine. I still love you. Like, come give me a hug. Like, you can still get closer. Like, it's all good. It realized, like, even though how weird this may sound, this experiment of not showering, I think it is an experiment that can be ran in many different other aspects of life in which we are doing behavior that we know is not best for us, or at least it may be best for us. It's good to be clean. It's good to have a clean apartment, but just the emotional charge behind it is oftentimes come from a place of fear and lack, and I need to be a certain way, as opposed to I genuinely, out of a place of love, want to take 3 showers a day. So having someone like Elle to just reaffirm me throughout this whole process that I'm okay and I'm completely clean, even though I'm dirty, I'm completely fine, and I'm still loved, was this huge experiment because I realized like there are so many aspects of our reality. And I think this is the stem of the far majority of OCD and many other similar disorders and diseases, in which we adopt these as coping mechanisms to survive in our environment, oftentimes for the approval of others. And oftentimes just a cycle repeating, it's not like they're holding me hostage that I need to be a certain way clean. They also believe that to be true about themselves, which is probably passed on from generations before, whatever it is. But this is true. I really think for the far majority of things, it's like we adopt these because we don't feel good enough. We don't feel as perfect as we really are without being a certain way. And so I've been able to do a lot of work around this for a very long time to allow myself to be incredibly, I believe, mentally and emotionally free, where everything I do from a place of love, and I don't have these little um, tendencies or attributes or habits and patterns that are still coming from fear. But this is one of the last ones for me, last ones that I can see at this moment at least, that I need to understand. But a few days in, probably day 2 or 3, I was like, I'm completely okay. I finally understood. I'm okay being dirty and the world's not ending, you know? And simultaneously, what I was doing around this time was also eating certain foods that my whole life I've deemed bad. Like I've had a shit ton of ice cream, pizza, chicken sandwiches, Hawaiian food, like all of my favorite like comfort food and food. I'm like, oh, I can either never have this or have this on a rare occasion. I've been indulging in it recently. And because for all these different areas of life, I realized I've had so much negative emotional charge around them when I don't really need to. So I've been dipping my toe back into a reality where I'm doing the thing that I would have hated myself for, the thing I would have looked down upon. I'm doing that to the maximum and sitting there as I'm eating an entire pizza and being like, I'm okay. That pizza was fantastic. I don't need to feel any certain way about myself for eating the whole pizza. And I know this sounds crazy, but I was able to really, through doing the action and through, of course, having a loving support system near me, but I don't think it's, although it's recommended, not needed. We can do it within, in which we can let go of any control around needing to be a certain way. And I was able to drop a lot of emotional charge around the stories I used to tell myself of what's okay to eat and what's not okay to eat. And when I eat that pizza with love, with presence, with the ice cream, the chicken sandwiches, whatever it is, my body, I swear to you, like digests them better. It feels better. It's as if the emotional charge, the fear we had around that food, is changing how our body reacts to that food. It's as if we're eating it in survival mode, it'll digest in survival mode. But if we're eating it from a place of presence and love, it'll digest that way. And so realizing that if I just drop the emotional charge around the stuff that I thought didn't serve me and see it as actually an incredible part of the human experience we should fully embrace whenever it feels right, whether that's every day or once a year, understanding that this emotional charge we have towards these things isn't serving us, and doing actions to set that aside, to let go of those emotions, allows us to see the playing field of life very clearly and allows us to eat that pizza we want to from love. And if that means the opposite of that, work out as much as we want from a place of love. That means take a shower from a place of love, stay dirty from a place of love. Like life just returns back into your favor. And I know how weird this may sound and how sporadic this whole thing may have been, but I promise you what's stopping us from being the person we want to be is the emotional charge but we have behind it. It's the stories that we've been told once in our life or a handful of times in life that we've just been repeating over and over again in our mind of what's acceptable to be, what we need to be for love. But when we find a way to drop that emotional charge through oftentimes doing the same action that we thought would deprive us of that love while simultaneously understanding that we're okay, I can be this way and it's completely fine. Same for smoking weed, same for drinking alcohol, same for cigarettes, same for vaping, all of the quote unquote vices. What makes the biggest effect on our bodies and minds is the emotional charge we have behind these things as opposed to the actual chemicals we're putting into our body. I promise you that. That is the one thing I'm certain on throughout this experiment. But yeah, I think this is really important to understand, like whether it's something as big as family dynamics and only treating people a certain way based off of fear, afraid of how they may react, or a small thing of like taking showers, not taking showers, whatever it is. I promise you, doing whatever feels right to overcome this emotional charge that we've been coerced into taking on our whole life and letting that go allows you to live life that's truly free. True freedom. And yeah, I'm going to do better at explaining this going forward. I think I want to create like a large video and then creating kind of a formula and routine in which people can also adopt practices to free themselves of this emotional charge, so that whatever they're dealing with, they can do so from 100% place of love at all times. That'd be really important. But yeah, there's nothing to fear except fear itself. And that fear is just the emotional charge that's stopping us from doing and being the person we know we're meant to be. So, yeah. I hope this served you. I hope you learned something in some way. Um, no certain promises to the cadence of these videos, but I'll make them when it feels right. And I've been feeling like I want to make quite a bit of them recently, so I'm going to do that. I think I may start a separate YouTube channel for it. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's it. Thinking of you. I love you. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye.